Number 5. The Babysitter Story. The Babysitter Story is a truly unforgettable urban legend. Often told at slumber parties, the tale has different variations, but the spooky and downright terrifying elements remain the same. As the story goes, a teenage girl is hired by a young couple to babysit their 2 small children. They go out to a dinner party and leave the girl to tend to the kids in a somewhat isolated large house at the end of the block. When the hour gets late, she puts the children to bed and sits down to watch some late-night TV. The phone starts ringing and startles the half-asleep teenager. When she answers it, she hears heavy breathing, and a man tells her that he is coming to get her. I'm coming to get you. While she is somewhat scared, she dismisses it as a prank phone call. About 15 minutes later, the phone rings again. When she answers it, the man starts laughing and tells her that he is closer. I'm closer to you. The babysitter is truly frightened now and calls the police. They tell her that it's probably just a prank phone call. Nothing to worry about, miss. It's probably just a prankster. But they try to trace the call. We'll trace the call. So she must keep him on the line as long as possible if he calls another time. She once again settles down on the couch, not sleepy at all. The phone rings a 3rd time, and the man tells her that he has come for her, and it's only a matter of time. I've come for you, and it's only a matter of time. He continues with some heavy breathing, until the babysitter is so terrified that she hangs up the phone again. She quickly decides to get the children and flee the house. When the phone rings again, this time it is a policeman on the other end, and he tells her frantically, "Get out of the house, now!" The man is inside the house and is calling from the upstairs extension. She runs from the house. As the police arrive, the madman escapes, but they find the children upstairs dead, and a bloody axe laying on the bedroom floor next to an open window. Note: the babysitter urban legend is old as the hills. In this story, the man is always calling from the upstairs extension, but it's unlikely that he would be able to ring the phone from the extension. In most instances, he would have to be calling from a separate phone line upstairs. Notice how the perpetrator gets away, leaving him on the loose to prey on other innocent teenage girls. It makes for some great storytelling, particularly when the crime is involved, or not solved. Watch the 1979 movie, When a Stranger Calls, and the 1993 sequel, When a Stranger Calls Back, to see how this legend evolved into film. Want to see something newer? Released February 3rd, 2006. Was a remake of the former movie, also titled When a Stranger Calls. Number 4. Bloody Mary. Who can forget the scary story of Bloody Mary, the evil spirit who will scratch your eyes out when summoned? Most people heard the Bloody Mary legend when they were children, listening to spooky ghost stories around the campfire. This tale is still told at slumber parties, campouts, and late-night bonfire parties. The legend claims that the evil woman can be summoned by chanting Bloody Mary 3 times into a mirror, anywhere from 3 to 100 times in a darkened room, lit only by a candle. 13 seems to be the most popular number of chants, appropriately so. The bathroom is the most popular setting test out the legend. The bathroom is the most popular setting to test out the legend, but other dark rooms seem applicable. After the given amounts of chance, the spirit will then appear in a mare and claw your eyes out. Death will follow. Other variations have her driving you insane or pulling you into the mare, never to be seen again. Who Bloody Mary really is remains a mystery. While there are many versions of this story, many accounts point to a woman named Mary Worth, who was horribly disfigured in a car crash. Some are adamant that it's Queen Mary I of England, daughter of Henry VIII, and Catherine of Aragon. Some people still tell of a witch who was burned at the stake and has returned for revenge, or it may be the devil himself who's come for your soul. The Bloody Mary legend saw some rising popularity with a variation of the story in the 1992 movie, The Candyman. That used the idea for its plot. When the characters chanted Candyman in the mirror 5 times, he would appear and murder them with his hand hook. I found this movie terrifying, although I can say that as an adult, I generally don't have any nightmares from horror movies. This one I remember vividly, waking up in a cold sweat and trying not to fall back asleep. The movie Urban Legend was released to theaters in 1998 and borrowed the Bloody Mary myth once again. For one of its stories, as if that wasn't enough, 2005 brought us Urban Legend's Bloody Mary, which was released directly to DVD. There's no doubt that the horrific tale will appear again, perhaps in yet another version with a different twist. While you think you're safe from mean old Bloody Mary, think again. Legend has it that if you are near a mare in a total darkness, she can still come for you, regardless of whether you're trying not to say her, regardless or not whether you're calling her or not. Number 3, buried alive. My great-great-grandmother, who had been ill for some time now, finally passed away. My great-great-grandfather was devastated beyond belief. She was his one true love, and they had been married for over 50 years. They had been married for so long, it was if they knew each other's thoughts. Even after the doctor announced her dead, my great-great-grandfather still insisted that she was not. He had to literally be pried away from his wife's body so they could prepare her for burial. Back in those days, they had simple backyard burial plots, without the body going through any preservation or embalming. The body was simply committed to a coffin and buried. Throughout this process, my great-great-grandfather protested so much that he had to be sedated and put to bed. His wife was buried, and that was that. That night, he woke to a horrific vision of his wife hysterically trying... That night he woke to a horrific vision of his wife hysterically trying to scratch her way out of the coffin. He phoned the doctor immediately and begged to have his wife's body exhumed. The doctor refused. He continued to have his nightmare every night that week, and each day after he begged the doctor to remove his wife from the grave. Finally, the doctor gave in, and the local authorities had the coffin removed from the ground and pried open. To everyone's horror and amazement, my great-great-grandmother's nails were all bent back, and there was obviously scratches on the inside of the coffin. Number 2. The clown statue. It was Halloween night, and a young couple were invited to their co-worker's Halloween party. They hired a young teenager named Maria to babysit their 8-month-old baby. It was about 9:30 p.m. when the couple left the house. Around 10:30, the baby fell asleep. After Maria tucked the baby in to sleep, she went to go lie down in the couple's bedroom to watch TV because they had a plasma screen in their room. Once she started watching TV, she notices a life-sized clown statue in the corner. The statue was kind of creeping her out. So she got a sheet from the closet and covered it. She went to go lie down again, feeling partly relieved. An hour later, she fell asleep. A couple of minutes later, after she fell asleep, she heard a thump. She thought something just fell off the shelf in the closet. She was so tired, she just ignored it and went back to sleep. Then the phone rang downstairs. She went to go answer it, and all she heard was heavy breathing. She hung up thinking it was just a prank call from some of her friends. As she turned to go back upstairs, it rang again. This time she answered it and said, This time she answered it and told her friends to knock it off. After that, she heard a voice say, "I'm closer than you think," in a scratchy male voice. She was frightened and ran upstairs. After 10 minutes passed, there was another thump, but it was a little louder this time. Maria knew that it didn't come from the closet. Then the phone rang again, so she ran downstairs quickly. She answered it and said for whoever it was to leave her alone. The unknown male voice said sarcastically, "Hey, I'm warning the police." She ran upstairs and hid under the blankets. After 20 minutes passed, she heard the loudest thump. She was so scared. She was so scared, but she was the babysitter. She was going to get up and check on the baby when the clown chopped off her head. As the neighbors heard the scream, they were calling the police. When the police arrived, it was silent. They didn't find anything downstairs, so they went upstairs. They noticed that all the doors were wide open, except for the master bedroom. The door was shut. The police were astonished when they found a strangled babysitter and a headless girl crammed in the closet. When they closed the closet, they noticed a chair next to the window in the corner of the room. It was dark, so they couldn't see very well. They went over to the chair with a bucket, They went over to turn on the lights and found Maria's head on the chair with a butcher knife next to it. The police were especially astonished to find a note saying, "I warned you guys, didn't I?" Signed, "Prisoner." Turns out the clown was a murderer who had escaped from a prison. Number 1. The Hook. As with any urban legend, the stories are similar. They stray off a little from each other and add its own elements of surprise. This makes it very difficult to know which one was the original. This is the first one I heard. A teenage couple drove to Lover's Lane and were making out when the music was interrupted with a special bulletin. The radio announcer said that there was a mass murderer who had just escaped from the local insane asylum and was on the loose. The announcer then urged everyone to be on the lookout and stay indoors. Immediately, the girl was frightened and she urged her boyfriend to take her home. He insisted that everything was okay and continued to kiss her. She heard a strange thumping noise, pulled away, and insisted that they leave. Although he was irritated, he realized that the mood was broken and drove her home anyway. When they arrived at the house, her door was stuck and wouldn't open. When the boy walked around on the other side of the car to let her out, he was shocked to find a hook lodged in the door handle. Needless to say, they were very lucky that